does Auburn do to stop Oregon's offense?
Well, I think they have to look at what Cal did. And Cal, they had the spy on Thomas. They had a really good defensive line. They flew around, and they didn't let the pace bother them at all in that game. I mean, I think they'd be silly not to look at that game and try to duplicate a lot of what Cal did. But also, other teams have had various success against Oregon's offense. I mean, I think you just have to look at the fact that at 9 out of their 12 games, Oregon was challenged in the first half. That tells you that the opponent had some success against them. So there's a lot to be. I mean, there's a lot. I don't think Oregon's offense is invincible. I think it's a combination of their pace, quickness, conditioning, and their play calling, those sort of things. But I think number one thing is time of possession for Auburn. I mean, I think they can play defense with offense.
Well, for me, Chip Kelly's offense, perhaps the best in college football. However, it does not work against a team with physically superior athletes. You saw that against Ohio State last year, where Ohio State was so superior to the guys Oregon had on the field that Oregon could not move the ball. If that happens, whether it's a zone read or not, if that hole is plugged every single time, doesn't matter whether Darren Thomas or LaMichael James is taking the ball. Now, for me, the real battle will come down to the trenches. Can Oregon's offensive line stop Auburn's Nick Fairley and the rest of that crew? Can they make a point of getting to the quarterback, getting to LaMichael James? If they can, Oregon doesn't have a ground game. Thomas, not a good enough passer the way Luck is to tear him apart in the secondary, even though Auburn's secondary is weak. If they can't run the ball, Oregon doesn't have a chance in this game.
I would agree. I don't think Thomas and the receivers are gonna. They can beat Auburn through the air if they get balance going.
If they have balance.
If they have some balance
if
going.
If they have to throw the ball 40 times a game, they're in trouble.
I think they're in trouble too. But I think they will find ways to move the ball on the ground. I mean, they've done it in every game except one, and even in that game against Cal, they predominantly ran the ball in that last drive for 9 minutes and 25 seconds. So in a way, they used their ground game to win that one, even though that they were held down somewhat by Cal.
Yeah, I think the Cal game's going to be the textbook example that Auburn's looking at. And yeah, Oregon had that long drive, and maybe that was a wearing down factor, and then in a close game. And I don't know if Auburn can stop Oregon's run the way Cal did. I don't know if it's going to be that close a game in the fourth quarter where Oregon's got in a position where they could run out the clock. I just think that Auburn's going to be like Cal. I mean, they're going to be really focused in the box. I mean, everything inside the hash marks. Michael James and say, Darren Thomas, we kind of let you and your wide receivers, we'll go one-on-one with those guys and the tight end, and go ahead, try to throw it, and we're not worrying about sideline routes and things like that. We'll cover it and just keep trying to get LaMichael from making big runs and those long runs, and I suspect they'll be pretty good at it. So. Well, I think that's the plan.
You know, it's interesting, and I made somewhat of a bold statement in today's Tribune, in that, okay, Auburn's defensive line, pretty stout. But beyond that, I'm not seeing any real superstar players. And, okay, we're talking system and so forth, but I actually see the potential for Oregon to do a 2008 Civil War offensive production. And because I think once you get through that initial first line of defense, I think there's going to be a lot of running room. And I think if Darren Thomas does some stuff over the top, that the Ducks could have a field day.
And one of the things about Oregon is even against a team like UCLA, when they scored 72 points, they made it look effortless.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like they had scored 72 points. It didn't seem like their offense was off the charts. they can put points on the board. And we may see that against Auburn, where you don't know exactly how they're doing it. They're doing it with a mixture of running and passing. Mm-hmm. They're hitting Jeff Mayo, and Michael James is getting 8 yards here. Mm-hmm. They have David Paulson for a 15-yard gain there. You can see that with Oregon's offense, where all of a sudden they've put mm-hmm. together 42 mm-hmm. points, mm-hmm. and you know, if they can do that, if they can get their offense going, mm-hmm. it could be the shootout that everybody wants mm-hmm. it to mm-hmm. be. I really see one offense getting going and the other sputtering, mm-hmm. and it's going to be whether it's Oregon that gets their offense going or Auburn. One of them I see doing that, and the other I see having to play catch-up ball and not being as successful going with their game plan coming into the game.
Mm-hmm. Well, unfortunately, we haven't been able to go out to Oregon practice to see what the Ducks are up to. Auburn closed its practice starting today, although they gave the first 10 or 15 minutes open to photographers. So we're not going to get any more chance to see how they fine-tune what they want to do. That's led to some speculation whether or not there's some sort of trick plays. But when Darren Thomas talked today and all the rest of the offense talked today, I didn't get the feeling that there was any sort of trickeration going on. They were just basically doing what they have always done, which sort of begs the question of why all the secrecy at practice. I don't know. Some people might say that it's because the Ducks were concerned about Ohio State stealing signs last year. You know, they go at such a fast pace. I'm not sure stealing signs makes much point or much difference. But anyway, we don't know. We can't.
I think it's probably just an extension of how Chip Kelly tries to operate, and that's, you know, they had a lot of closed practices in December, and you know, Auburn's practice is closed too. It's only open for the first 15 minutes, 20 minutes. They don't do anything. We were there yesterday. They were stretching and throwing the ball around and doing basic stuff, and then they kicked us out. And then at the end, they gave interviews. That's one thing Oregon is only going to do once this week, is give post-practice interviews.
And that'll be on Saturday.
Yeah, and that'll be selected players and so forth. But there's other availabilities with players here at the hotel and so forth. But I guarantee you there's going to be trick plays.
They're absolutely.
And I don't know if you would define them as trick plays, but just more an extension of their offense, because I think that's what Auburn's offensive coordinator Malzahn said. He says, we don't even think of them as trick plays, even though you might, because it's just part of our offense. I think that's the same thing with the Ducks. I think you'll see stuff that maybe we haven't seen this year out of Oregon.
With a coach like Chip Kelly, give him 37 days to come up with a game plan. He's not going to do the exact same thing he did week 1 against New Mexico. He's got stuff that we haven't seen, whether it's based on what the offense has already done. Yeah, he's still going to have a quarterback taking a snap and a center snapping the ball. Will there be something that Auburn's defense has not seen on film? Absolutely.
I think so. It may only be 3 or 4 plays, but
3 or 4 plays. But I see at least 1 or 2 of those going for touchdowns.
Yeah.
It would not shock me if the first play of the game is one of those to catch Auburn completely off guard.
Yeah, you see that a lot.
Well, it's something for us to look forward to. I appreciate the time to take out for the Spring Creek Coffee House remote. Maybe we can do this later on in the week. We still have several days to go before the game. So, gentlemen, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.